Welcome to the Verdin Verdict Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin. Hope everybody had a good weekend. It was raining like hell in Louisiana. Hopefully, you had some decent weather wherever you were. Wasn't that decent over here. Got a couple of topics to break down for you. Going to keep the segment rolling with the film review. Got a couple of guys I find a little interesting. Our boy Winnie Watkins, Jayce Brown, a couple of small wideouts, but some new faces. Going to run some tape, talk about some things I like, some characteristics, maybe some ways that they can be implemented. You already know how Winnie was working in the Weiss X Kiffin scheme, but we can kind of dive a little deeper into that. Then LSU recruiting update. And I got three big questions for college football. This is getting to that point where I'm like, all right, I'm going to start feeling out some stuff. I'm going to start getting on Twitter. I'm going to read through the rat poison. I'm going to go watch Steve Sarkisian piss some people off and stir the pot. I've come away with a couple of takeaways, if you will. We'll get to all of that as we go, but let's lock in and check out this film. So Winnie Watkins, we'll start off with him. I don't think he had a smaller season, true freshman, about 30 catches, 300 yards, which is still very good for a true freshman, in my opinion. To go out and get 30 and 300, you obviously have proved you're an integral part of the system. There's a lot of different names, a lot of different wideouts that got some love there. I don't even think Ole Miss had 1,000-yard wideout. They were spreading it that even. They had four top guys. Winnie would probably be right on that fifth spot regardless. He comes in to LSU and he has a huge opportunity on his hands, which is ironic because when Lane Kiffin was talking about him at Ole Miss, there was multiple times where Lane Kiffin made a joke saying, "Oh, I can't say much about him. People are going to go try to portal him." Little did he know he was a person that's about to hit him in the portal. Like, yeah, Winnie is getting in the portal, but he's following you, buddy. Regardless, phenomenal athlete. You'll see some great things from him on film. He's versatile. He can create a mismatch pretty much anywhere. Take a look at some of these shots right here. Like I said, 5'11", 185, a little thinner. I want to say he's a slot, but man, I can't lie. There's a lot of different combos and concepts that I've seen him in working, whether it be across the field in a flat. I could see him be lined out outside as well. This is a crazy shot over the middle of the field. Most of his – oh, wait, hold on. Let me pop this up. Come on now. All right. Now we're cooking. Most of his routes, though – sorry, LSU fans. This is going to be a little PTSD for you. But most of them come across the middle of the field. Most of them are, whether it be a crosser concept, shallow post, he runs a couple of different styles of routes. But for the most part, that's where you're going to find him, in the whole of his own coverage. And he's very good at sitting down the ball. Chambers obviously is very accurate, so you're getting great placement here. But he's really – look at this one right here. It seems like he's in the same or the right spot every time. He can adjust his route. He can push deep into his zone. He can find a breaking point. Here's another shot over the middle of the field against Oklahoma. He had 4 catches, 100-plus yards this game. I think 111 all in all. But it's the rack ability. It's the ability to be able to find a soft spot or to keep mending or to kind of be like, I know this is a weird comparison, but from a chemistry standpoint, like a Travis Kelce and a Patrick Mahomes. Dog, you know how many times Travis Kelce is manipulating a route in the middle of the route? This is a bang out on the X right here. He's on a go. This is kind of why I'm saying he's not just a slot. Like, you don't have to just put him inside with a linebacker matchup, creating that mismatch over the middle. You can also put him down the sideline, stretch, and he might break off a 70-yard run or reception. Here's a little play action concept. Once again, bang, he's over the middle of the field. I'll go out on a limb and say over half of his catches will be similar to this. I saw this in spring a lot. He had a lot of great explosive plays, but he is always over the middle of the field. On a cross, it's hard to guard that with speed. You'll see it with Jayce Brown as well. But when you have somebody that quick, it's tough. You're trying to create leverage. You're trying to get some room, some spacing, maybe some inside shade. And sometimes that is used against you, whether it be the route, the double moves, the physicality, whatever the case may be. You see him here with a quick read. Nice physicality, hard to get down. They're gang tackling. There's like 7 different Florida players over there. He's a solid wideout. This is a Georgia reception right here. I will say this for context for that Oklahoma game. Those catches were happening on a game-winning drive, on a go-ahead drive. There's a clutch gene. And look at this. This is exactly what I'm talking about with finding a hole in zone coverage right here. Bang. You got two of the defenders in the flat. One of them is probably more towards the middle, the guy on the left on that hash. He's got that middle zone, but that guy on the right by the SEC logo, he's supposed to be guarding that whole flat back because that deep third is in the end zone already. And when he understands this completely because they have a clear out route, the corner goes over the top with him. There's nobody accounting for Winston Watkins right here. He finds a beautiful spot, and that's kind of what he's been doing all season with Ole Miss. I can't wait to see what he does in this wide receiver one role, though. I don't even want to say wide receiver one, but he's been that explosive through camp where he's the primary guy. You've seen him score the most. You've seen him get the most love, get the most attention, the most yardage, whatever the case may be. Let's move into Jayce Brown now. Very similar. I ain't gonna lie. They're damn near the same size. 5'11", 175. With him, it's undeniable that he's versatile, though, because he's lining up in a wildcat spot. He's lining up in the X, in a slot. He does a variety of things that, it brings a skill set to the wide receiver room that you haven't had in a while. Have you had good wide receivers? Have you had talented people? Yes. But you've got such an interesting combo of guys. You got your tall and physical guys. You got your short and speedy guys. You got your high, deep route guys. You've got the short, quick game guys. You've got so many different forms of wide receivers that I feel like Lane Kiffin is going to be able to, I don't even want to say cook, but it's tough when you have that many options and you're a defensive coordinator and you're lined up against these people and you're trying to scheme all of them out the game. You can't scheme every single person out of the game. At this point, you're just trying to find holes in systems or things on tape that you could potentially abuse. Let's take a look at this Jayce Brown tape, though. Here's that backfield ability, bro. I mean, the speed is insane on him. He's damn near a running back when you line him up right there. And in the open field, too, this is something I've noticed. He didn't try to do too much. Like, there's times he'll even get down right away on a catch, not trying to bang up or, like, right here, not trying to get licked, not trying to have a fumble, not trying to take extra damage. That's an intelligent wide receiver move. And you could tell how important of a target he was for Kansas State. I mean, damn near every single play Kansas State ran that was successful last year on offense came through him. And then another thing about him, there's times where he can just sneakily, right here, just take the top off of you. He can rock you to sleep. He's doing these short routes, bow, bust one off to the crib, and it's 6. And this ain't going to be the only time you see this on this tape. But there's an ability as well to rack up catches so quickly, but I think it's based off of how you can implement him in the variety of ways we talked about in the backfield, with the screens, with the slot routes, with the deep routes. He can do a little bit of everything. So in these instances, it's easy to get him going early. 4 or 5 catches quick on an opening drive. They might not be all, 20-plus yarders, but they can get him going in a sense where he's a sure-handed target. If you need a quick 5, if you need a few yards at least, you can hit him. Another one of these routes right here, short little zig, kind of looks like he made like a cut back to the sideline right here. And this isn't a first down on 3rd and 5, but it makes a 4th down manageable. It's damn near 4th and inches. And that's kind of the beauty of him and this quick game reads, because it makes Sam Levitt's job that much easier. Look, once again, it's a very similar concept on the sideline. This is a curl, comes back, gets them to a yard or maybe half a yard away from a first down. Right here, he slips in between the coverage, finds a hole in the zone on the sideline, bangs out. Great throw by Avery Johnson. I mean, they are playing North Dakota, but hey, I'll give credit where credit's due. I ain't gonna lie. He does run a ton of slant routes, though. I ain't gonna lie. And it kind of goes hand in hand with Winston Watkins, like I was saying earlier. You don't know what he's about to do. You don't know how he's cooking you. It's kind of a hesitancy, especially if he's doing shit like this. Like, bro, you got to have spacing on him. If you don't have spacing on him, good luck. You're going to see this shit all day. You're going to see Jayce Brown, touchdown. But he just did a Lambeau leap in Kansas. The speed he has is insane. Look at this right here. Bang. There's like 11 yards of separation here. He could have stopped in the end zone and waited for the ball like an outfielder. He had that much room. And then here he is again in a screen pass. Okay, cool. Y'all saw me hit that go on you. Now I'm doing something in the backfield, in the short field. You got to hurry up and tackle me. Loves them sideline digs, bro. Always by the line of scrimmage. Or excuse me, always by the first down marker. He's always trying to get back to that point. Physical lick right there. But he got banged up on that tackle. I know the Big 12 is loving us doing this right now. Hey, bro. Got to get the people what they want, man. Here it is again. Sideline dig, kind of like an out route. Snap it, go over. So much damn leverage with that corner backing up, not trying to get burnt and taken to the crib. Bobbling, good hands, hard to get down. The cameraman got faked out on this one. I remember watching this. I'm like, bro, why is he zooming in on the play action? The play action was that good by Avery Johnson that the cameraman got faked out, buddy. Hey, that's happened to me a couple times. I ain't gonna lie. Happens a lot on them RPOs and read options. Oh shit. Sometimes you don't know who's got it. Here's another one of those backfield handoffs. But dog, this is the one where I'm like, okay, he's different. He's different. This is insane. They're going to replay it from a different angle right here. This is game-breaking speed. Bro, this is some shit you would see Alvin Kamara do 5 years ago. This is absolutely absurd. He's in the backfield with the quarterback. Okay, cool. Yeah, you might kind of have a foreshadowing on what's coming, but now you still have to stop it. Now you straight up wildcat with number one, block like a mug, and he's down the sideline for what, a 60-yard run as a wideout? This is the beauty of having the versatility like you do right now. And you're going to see a lot of this next season from Jayce Brown. I'll say that. And when I mean this, I'm talking about out the backfield, wildcats, everything, confusing the hell out of everybody. But that's what you have to do. You have to keep people guessing. You have to keep people on their toes. You have to keep them constantly wondering what the next move is. It's a couple of my favorite moments from them, though. Yeah, LSU's cooking, man. I ain't going to lie. Now, you do have to produce, right? It's fine to have all these bodies. It's fine to have all these names, but they have to do something. You have to create. You have to actually win games with said talent. Because having talent is one thing, but actually being able to utilize it, capitalize, and produce with it is an entirely different one. Now, let's do a recruiting update real quick. That kind of goes hand in hand with the talent part. Coach O, already on that trail, bro. Coach O, already doing magic, man. He was on the phone with number one running back in the boot, Trey Martin. I'll say this. For Coach O, that's the X factor he brings. Cool. It's great to have him as a special assistant to the defense. The most exciting part about his return is the aspect of him in this new age NIL era being able to be all hands on deck on generating a relationship and developing a relationship with a kid. Now, obviously, yeah, a relationship isn't everything. A relationship isn't everything, but when you pair that with the bread, it's better to have it than not. Because everybody, not everybody, but most schools can cut a check for NIL. And most schools can cut a check for NIL that's in the same ballpark as every other offer you're going to get. They can blank check you all day long. The thing is going to be, once you already understand that the money's on the table, there's an extra additive in terms of having a connection with someone or relating with someone or even trusting somebody. And that's the benefit, I believe, that Coach Orgeron brings to LSU. Plus, not to mention, and I'm not saying that LSU doesn't recruit itself. Obviously, it does. But with the hype that's kind of been building around them, with Lane Kiffin's arrival, with the commitment to NIL, with all this stuff, it's one of the premier destinations in all of college football. And you really couldn't, I'm not going to say you couldn't say that, but there were so many schools that you would put in front of LSU in this instance. You would have a few years ago said maybe a Texas, a Ohio State, an Oregon, a Georgia, whatever. There's a variety of schools that you could have named ahead of LSU and people wouldn't have argued with you. And maybe still you can make that same argument before Lane's coached a game. But as of right now, in terms of attention, in terms of respect, in terms of them getting top recruits, and I mean, shit, you got College Game Day walking in on week one, on the home opener or the season opener. Like, there is a unprecedented amount of hype around it, but I think it's also translating to them getting success on the recruiting trail. And I mean, a lot of success on the recruiting trail, I'm going to be real, it don't really matter until signing day, until the end of the season, because there's going to be a lot of shit that happens from now until then. There's going to be a lot of offers, a lot of phone calls, a lot of moments, maybe even some people entering the portal at a spot that they might not have had a chance at starting at. There's going to be so many different factors that play into this. So it's really premature to break all of this and try to, like even in the Ahmad Hudson situation. Now, I'm not going to say definitively he's going to do one thing or another, but that's something that you would theoretically have to worry about. Number one tight end, you're thinking he's going to be a replacement of Trudez Green, but there could be a last-second offer that comes in and flips him. It happened multiple times. Whether you want to bring up Jakeem, DeCorian, Bryce Underwood, there's been so many instances where in the recent NIL era, somebody could come in at the last second, back a Brinks truck up, and change your mind entirely. I'm not saying I blame them. I'm just saying that's the reality of the situation, is that sometimes you can get so enamored with the recruit or a recruiting class or a ranking or whatever, and it all comes crashing down in the span of 24 hours with a few decommitments, a few flips, a few this, a few that. I mean, I got to see the facts come through. And by facts, I'm talking about FAX. I'm talking about send that contract with your signature and let me know the letter of intent signed. You're coming. You're enrolling. Shit, you might even enroll early. That's how I'm basing off my reactions. But from their targets, they got a couple that interest me. Obviously, number one wide receiver, Easton Royal, visiting this week at LSU, the Brother Martin guy. It's a good sign that you're still getting some attention from him. I ain't gonna lie. It's gonna be a wild ride, I think, in his regard. Another one that I want to point out, number one recruit, D lineman, Cedar Hill High, Texas, is Jalen Brewster. He's committed to Texas Tech. Hey, oil money got him, man. Oil money got him. And with Easton Royal, it's ironic because both of these recruits I just named, as going to be a situation where you're going to have to, kind of like I said at the beginning of this segment, rely on the check paired with the relationship you're going to forge with him as he's only an hour away from you. You have to leverage that. There's going to be a shit ton of money thrown at him. If you can get, like, I'm not going to say an exact figure, but let's just use a hypothetical example where a kid has to make a decision between $700,000 and $1 million. But at the spot that he could get $700,000, he might set the bench a little bit, but he'll get developed at a premier program where, he's going to have world-class facilities and coaches and all this good stuff, all this attention, a platform, an ability to be able to extend his NIL package, all this good stuff. It's hard for me to think that a lot of, and I'm about to say something controversial, but sometimes I just don't think the kids take the highest offer. I do think they are looking through these situations. The problem is going to be when the offers are so different. A $2 million versus a $700K. Now that's a lot tougher a situation rather than a $100,000, $200,000 difference, because there's some things that you do sacrifice to be able to kind of increase your chances rather. And all I'm saying is if LSU can come close to whatever he's getting offered, whether it be Brewster and Texas Tech or Royal and Texas and all these other schools, if they can come close and then you pair that with the relationship, that's the X factor. And everybody's saying the relationships are dead, recruiting's changed. It's changed, it's evolved, but you can't tell me that connecting with a kid and creating a relationship with him does not matter. It does. There are going to be a lot of times where schools are damn near tied in the eyes of the family, the recruit, the people around him. And there's going to have to be something that is that tiebreaker. There's going to have to be something that they point towards and say, yes, this is it. And I ain't gonna lie. I think that Coach Argeron, Lane Kiffin, all these different coaches that they've been able to concoct on the staff, that's the X factor you bring. It's a professional, deep, experienced staff that has experience at every level. NFL, obviously college, Power 4, a lot of different instances, a lot of different roles. You've had a variety of names. You got to use that to your advantage. Not to say that other schools don't have good staffs or good names. They do. But I just feel like it's a little different. It's a little different. You got former head coaches on the staff, former national champion head coaches on the staff that eat, sleep, breathe, everything LSU. Everything. For the fact that Coach Argeron came back on that deal and he's, I don't want to say putting his pride to the side, but that has to take it really does have to take some type of maturity to be able to say, I'm coming back and I'm giving y'all everything. Like he loves LSU. This is something that I think will 100% change the landscape of recruiting in LSU for the next few years. I can't lie. Shout out Coach Argeron, bro. And then speaking of D-line with Brewster, Lamar Brown moved in officially too. But he graduated. Shout out Lamar Brown. He moved in. He's officially on campus. He's been on campus and he's been in Baton Rouge at ULab. He's even came to a lot of practices on break. We've seen him a few times. But now, You 100% locked in. And this is another player that could benefit from the arrival of Ed Orgeron. You got Big Rich, you got him, you got Don McKinley. Shit, you can even throw Malik Blockton in the mix. There's a lot of like potential that can be scratched and tapped and realized on this defensive line and in the trenches. You just got to push them to that point to be able to do it. And then before we get out of this segment, little quarterback shuffle going on. Emil Picarella entered the portal. And you could do that as a walk-on. Everybody's confused. They wanted explanations. I know this shit getting wild because you hear one portal window and then you got JUCO players entering and then you got the walk-ons who are not a scholarship player, so they're not tied the same way, whatever. There's workarounds. Listen, if there's one thing about college sports, they're going to find a workaround. I'll tell you what, they're going to find a way to either get out of trouble or bend a rule or whatever. They always got something. Whether a team need a last-minute body. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's confusing. That's all. Because you hear one portal window and you think one portal window. And I mean, you still do have it because that's the one portal window for everybody. Whatever. He went to a smaller school in Cleveland, Mississippi, Delta State, D2 school. Wish him the best, of course. Quarterback 4 over here at LSU. Not really much light in the tunnel. But, if you go over there, get some tape, develop a little bit, get some film. I could see him sliding into like a MAC, Mount West, maybe ACC, a little smaller P4 level. They brought in to replace that spot, Caden Martin, son of quarterback coach T. Martin from Middle Tennessee. Interesting career angle. The portal graphic. So the transfer portal graphic, when it got announced, it had Miami's logo on it. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let me go check this out. Bro, he did not play football at Miami. He played baseball at Miami. Like, I feel like that's something you should specify in that graphic. Put an asterisk. Baseball. Interesting, though. Multi-sport athlete, man. I feel like that doesn't get talked about enough. Being a multi-sport athlete. Like the skill that takes, especially when you see the transition of basketball to football. Me and G Sports talk about this all the time. Shout out G. The footwork ability of some wide receivers that have played basketball, it definitely translates, which sounds confusing. But in basketball, there's a lot of short hesitations, cuts, even the damn shuffling on defense, bro. Like it all requires a insane amount of coordination and footwork that once you pair that with the route running ability, with trying to, head fake somebody, get out your cut, whatever the case may be, it translates. So I don't know what you can translate from baseball on some Bo Jackson shit. But, all right, let's roll into my biggest questions. I got 3 questions, and y'all are going to love the first one. The first one is Ole Miss. Can Ole Miss sustain success? Life after Lane Kiffin, what does Ole Miss do? Lane's gone, can't bring him back, but you do have remnants. You do have Trinidad Chambers, Kawan Lacey. You've got some names over there that you can build from. So it's not like they're barren, losing everything. If Lane took Chambers and Lacey, oh my God, there would be no hope. This wouldn't even be a question. But I'll be real. I've thought about it. I've contemplated it. I've tried to be fair. I think that Ole Miss, it's not going to be an instant fall off. And there definitely will be some change. There'll be some growing pains. I'm not sitting here saying they're a playoff team, but I don't think they, win 7 games or go 500 or start 0-3 or whatever the hell. I don't think it is that bad. I don't think that there will be that much confusion. And here's why. The beauty for Ole Miss, the beauty of Lane Kiffin not coaching in the college football playoff gave Pete Golding an opportunity to almost test run being a head coach in the most adverse situation you can. Bro, you're in the playoffs versus top teams with nothing but time. There's teams that you're playing that have had a week plus to be able to game plan for you. Plus, at the end of the year, you're banged up. People are hurt. They're playing through it. But you just had a whole 14-plus game season all in all once you get to certain points that it's adding up. It's accumulating. Whatever the case may be, Pete Golden taking the reins over at that point, I think, helped them slowly build a foundation. And a foundation is cool. Like a lot of people use that word, the foundation. Here's the thing, though. You have to build on the foundation. Once the foundation is laid and it's level and all this good stuff, you still have to start building on it in recruiting, in the portal. That's the question, really, for this. You have to shift it into can Ole Miss recruit after Lane Kiffin? because he's brought them to almost, and I don't want to say national legitimacy in a sense where they weren't legitimate before, but man, like they were not really considered that much. He said it in a Vanity Fair article that sometimes you would have to make kids see a university that they never would have saw. This is not their dream school. This is something you're going to have to pitch to them harder than an LSU or an Ohio State or an Oregon. It's a little different. And I don't mean it in a disrespectful way. It's just a spade is a spade. So with that being said, what do you do going forward to make sure that it doesn't taper back? Because you're in an interesting spot. That spotlight's still on the university. You still had the best season in school history last year. You still have NIL money that you can pledge. I'm sure you might have more. You might have pissed off them NIL boosters so much to where they're cutting checks out of spite just to see them retain a Chambliss or a Kawan Lacey or whatever the case may be. So this year, I believe with the core that they kept, they can, they'll be all right. They'll be manageable. The big test will be next recruiting cycle, the one that brings in another portal class, the ones that fills in the holes for quarterback and halfback and all this good stuff. On the defensive end, losing guys like Princewell, TJ, all these different names, I don't want to undermine them, but I do think Pete Golding, especially with how defensive minded it is, he's going to be all right. That I think he can mitigate. The tough part will be after this season when you lost Trinidad and Kawan. That's the big thing, because keeping them gives me a lot of optimism for that squad. They still have some very talented pieces, one of the best backfield duos in that regard. But you're going to have to translate it. Second question, will Sorsby play at all? Now, here's my opinion on it. I think not only no, he won't play, but I think hell no, he shouldn't play. I ain't gonna lie. I think that would be one of the most detrimental things to like the integrity of the NCAA, the rules. There really ain't much right now to begin with, but let's just say you let Sorsby get back out there, the Texas Tech quarterback who was caught gambling a shit ton. He's like a dozen games on Indiana, and then God bless, he's betting on overseas sports in the middle of the night. People eating hot dogs, like, bro, anything and everything, ranging from $5, $50, whatever the case may be. If the NCAA doesn't enforce these rules, then you're setting, or you're at least opening the door to this gray area or this wiggle room going forward forever. If there's another kid that gets caught, they're going to use this example. And then vice versa, and then vice versa. And it'll continuously get worse. I pulled up a couple of instances. There was 3 times in 2025 that players were banned for gambling on their teams. It was at Temple, Fresno State, and San Jose State. All of them were basketball schools and basketball players. But specifically, if you're as recent as last year, there's multiple instances of this happening and there being a direct result. I feel like there's no other answer than he can't play. And he has to go do the supplemental draft or whatever the case may be. But from an eligibility standpoint, your rule is you're ineligible if you wager on your team. He wagered on his team. There's definitive proof. Whether it be because, like he said, he wanted to be closer to his team or whatever excuse he made up at the end, bro, it don't matter. I don't care how close you wanted to be to your team. Dog, you're on a sideline in the jersey. You're in the locker room. You're at practice. You're walking into the stadium with them. You're running out of the tunnel with them. Dog, you're as close can get. Matter of fact, you're closer than damn near anybody will get ever to that program besides another player or another coach. So it's like, I don't really have sympathy for that. I don't. I'm going to just be real. It's one of those like chess moves that you have to do from a PR standpoint, especially the going into like the center, the rehab center. That was an effort, in my opinion, to kind of like start shaping that public image a little bit. And I figured that they would push for the eligibility, try to do all this lawsuit stuff. I ain't with it, bro. I ain't with it. I ain't gonna lie. I don't think he plays. If he does, I'd be shocked. Texas Tech is hoping he does. All that damn money. And then what do you do now? Your backup's hurt or was hurt and is recovering, whatever. Is a situation where you thought you had a guy, now you don't. Imagine LSU being in that spot. I can't say that enough. You almost were in that spot. Last question. Is Sark wrong for speaking out about lack of schedule toughness? No. He's dead right. I was getting a haircut last week. Shout out Jacob. That's my barber. We both got the same name. Ironic. But was getting a haircut last week, and we had the same exact question, talking about the Indiana football team and everybody showing them love, yada yada yada. And it's sour grapes, I guess. But I brought up the 2019 LSU, and I compared the schedule and the toughness, and just the fact that LSU played way tougher teams. And Indiana, I get it, they did play tougher teams at the end of the playoffs. So shout out, hat tip, play a easy schedule through and through. But I mean, bro, there are a lot of SEC teams that would have that same record. There were, a matter of fact, you might be able to put like an Alabama on that schedule, and then they can push their way into an entirely different season. They could be a playoff team from week 3. You can realize it. And then in the Big 12 too, I ain't gonna lie. In the Big 12, it's different because this isn't just Sark hating the hate. He has experience in that conference. For 3 years, he coached in the Big 12. He felt how it was to prep and play and go up against those quality opponents. Now he's been in the SEC for a few years as well. He almost has equal experience as a head coach at this university in both conferences. And he's comparing them, and he's coming up with the take that my backups could go undefeated with Texas Tech's schedule. And that's where he pissed everybody off because they're like, oh, man, you discredited Texas Tech. No, I pulled up the schedule. I'm popping it up on the screen right now. Opener, Abilene Christian. Then Oregon State, Houston, Sam Houston, Colorado, Arizona State, Cincy, Arizona, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Baylor, TCU. If you look at like quote unquote tough games, I'll give you Houston in week 3. A little tougher. You get them at home, shout out. Arizona State, not bad. Decent program. Could be close. Cincinnati's okay. Oklahoma State, I think, is a sleeper, like Messmaker a lot. And then after that stretch right there, Oklahoma State, Baylor, TCU, that's their toughest slate. 2 of the 3 are road games. You got Messmaker, you got DJ Lagway, and I don't know the TCU quarterback off the top of the head. But this is nothing near the Texas schedule. Nothing close. Let me pull up Texas' schedule now. Yeah, bro, week 2, Ohio State. Then you got Tennessee week 4. Then Oklahoma. This is the stretch. Welcome to the SEC. This is exactly the point that he's trying to make. Tennessee, Oklahoma, Florida, Ole Miss, Miss State, Mizzou, LSU, Arkansas, A&M. In a row, consecutively. Yeah, you get bye week sprinkled in the middle. Hey, there ain't nothing like this. There's nothing like SEC scheduling. Nothing. And I'll go out on a limb and I'll attack one more conference and make no friends on this show. But, we're just going to call a spade a spade. Big Ten, you're on the hot seat too. The Big Ten scheduling is damn near the same. You've got some contenders. Yeah, all right. Let's name them. Oregon, Ohio State. All right. I'll throw Michigan in there. Why not? Indiana, shout out, had to. After that, boss. Not trying to say that like a Penn State ain't good, but I mean, bro, you got a handful of teams at the top. And so most conferences are like that. But what I'm trying to say is if the progression in your conference of all those teams, there's only 4 of them that are worth a shit. There's a lot of them that are bottom of the barrel, not going to even sniff a college football playoff. That's different than the SEC. Because at the SEC, you're going to have 2 or 3 lost teams on the brink looking in. Like a Vandy or a Bam. There's so many different names. And then, I mean, I know this is like this in every sport. It's like this in every college or whatever. But the competition, the level of play at the SEC is just a little different, bro. I ain't gonna lie. It's bigger, it's harder, it's faster. And then with the Big Ten winning the last 3 natties, we getting gung-ho, bro. We getting a little too like oblivious to the obvious. The 2 things. The first one is that the SEC batters each other up all year to the point where at the end of the season, in my opinion, I feel like if you're playing that tough competition and you got a few more injuries and then you go out and roll out in a playoff team who's been fresh, who got to sit their starters the whole second half of most of their games because they're 50 balling their opponents, it's a different situation. It's a little bit easier. Now, I don't want to be fully SEC biased, but I'll give other conferences credit in this regard. Since NIL started, they've been able to catch up in the recruiting realm to big powerhouse SEC schools. And that's been the difference maker of distributing that depth across college. And that's also been the difference maker of getting some, quality prospects in other conferences that would have initially never settled for anything outside the SEC. It's a little different nowadays. Not only do you have the incentive, like, okay, cool, I can go to a smaller school and make a bag, but then there's also the ability with the portal for a kid to go to a smaller school who might not be a heavily touted recruit and then increase his stock or his value and go to another team to have a bigger opportunity, to have a bigger chance of the NFL or a playoff or whatever the case may be. So that's kind of been the way that they've been able to catch up to speed, if you will. But we get carried away hating on Steve Sark for calling a spade a spade. That's just an uncomfortable truth that nobody want to say. I'll say it. The SEC plays a harder schedule than any other conference in college. And I don't know how anybody can look at that without a bias and come away with any other conclusion. I don't know. That's just my take on it, though. Willing to hear takes in the comments if anybody wants to sound off. I'm about to get out of here. Happy Memorial Day to everybody. Damon, you asking me, are you barbecuing today, Jacob? No, I'm not barbecuing, my guy. I'm not, dude. I might get some Uber Eats. I might go lock in, but I will not be on the pit, man. I ain't grill mastering today, bro. I ain't doing it to you. I can cook a steak pretty good, man. I ain't gonna lie. I can cook some nice steak, but with the barbecue pit, I might blow my house up. I don't know. I don't even want to try it. Hope y'all have a good one, though. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up. We'll be back here Wednesday at 9 a.m. Y'all have a good one.